she'll listen closely. When darkness wraps the world and dreams begin to stir, you've arrived at the right place. Welcome to Between Dreams and Shadows, the sanctuary of stories that live between sleep and the unknown. Here, every tale is more than a story. It's a portal to hidden worlds, forgotten secrets, whispers from beyond, and shadows that speak as your eyes begin to close. If you're drawn to mysteries, haunting legends, and stories that send shivers down your spine, this channel is your new nighttime ritual. Before we begin, I invite you to become part of this growing nightbound community. Subscribe now and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a tale. New stories drop regularly, always under the veil of night. Like this video if you enjoy that chill before sleep. It helps this channel grow and lets me bring you deeper, darker stories. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had a strange dream or felt something watching in the dark? Your experience might inspire the next tale now. Take a deep breath, turn off the lights, leave the world behind, and get ready to drift. Between dreams and shadows, setting the atmosphere. It started on a night like any other. Evelyn lay in bed, phone in hand, scrolling through sleep apps in the hope of finding anything that would help her rest. Insomnia wasn't new to her, but lately, it had taken on a sharper edge. The kind where your heart races for no reason, where shadows seem thicker at the corners of your room, where silence feels ... occupied. Her bedroom was small, clean, minimalistic, pale gray walls, a single nightstand, a cheap digital clock blinking red beside her bed. The kind of place where nothing exciting should happen. But tonight, something felt off. The air felt heavier than usual, the kind of dense stillness that presses on your chest. The room temperature was fine, but her skin prickled with a cool, crawling sensation as if something invisible had just brushed past her arm. She shook her head, blaming caffeine, stress over classic insomnia paranoia still. She opened the app store, searching for a new sleep aid. One app caught her eye. Its icon was simple, a black square with a single white dot in the center. The title, Whisper Sleep Personalized Night Sounds. It had no ratings, no reviews, no download count. Weird dot, but she was too tired to care. Within seconds, she installed it. The interface was plain, just one button, start session. No settings, no user agreement, no explanation. Curious, she tapped it. Her phone speaker released a soft, low-frequency hum, almost like distant wind. Beneath it, tiny clicking sounds, too faint to make out, strangely hypnotic. She felt her eyelids grow heavy, but just as she drifted closer to sleep, her phone spoke. A voice, soft, slow, familiar, double quotes, Evelyn, ... Her heart stopped. Did she? Imagine that. She sat up, pulse pounding. The screen was still black. The only thing visible was the white dot, slowly pulsing, as if breathing. No other app was open. No notifications. No calls. She turned the phone face down on the nightstand, suddenly regretting downloading it at all. But, even with the phone silenced, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Something unseen was now aware of her, and it had spoken her name. She wrapped herself in her blanket, squeezing her eyes shut. Still, she couldn't escape the overwhelming sense that the room was no longer empty. The first signs of disturbance morning came, but the dread didn't leave. Evelyn sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone like it was a loaded gun. The app was still there. The icon remained the same. Black square, white dot. No update notifications. No signs of activity. She opened it. Nothing but the same screen. Start session. No history. No audio logs. No menus. For a moment, she wondered if she had dreamed the whole thing. Sleep deprivation could do that, blur the lines between reality and hallucination. But as she stood up to get dressed, something caught her eye. Her bedroom mirror, slightly off-center. She never touched it, It was always perfectly aligned. OCD, she had told friends, joking now. It hung crooked, tilting just enough to make her stomach turn. Maybe it fell. Maybe the wall hooks were loose. But when she went to adjust it, her fingers hesitated. There was a fine smear across the glass, like a handprint, too small to be hers. And at her feet, the corner of her rug was folded upward, as if someone or something had stood there during the night. Her pulse quickened, trying to shake it off. She grabbed her keys and headed to work, but the disturbances followed her. At the office, her computer mouse moved slightly on its own, just a twitch, barely noticeable. Her coffee mug always placed on the left side of her desk somehow appeared on the right after she returned from the bathroom. Her coworkers noticed her jumpiness. "You okay, Evelyn?" her friend Mark asked during lunch. She forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." That night, she considered deleting the app. Her thumb hovered over the uninstall button, but curiosity, that dark gnawing thing in the back of her mind, stopped her. Maybe it was just her imagination. Maybe she was overreacting, determined to prove herself wrong. She placed the phone on her nightstand, plugged it in, and lay down. Sleep didn't come easy. The room felt colder than usual. Her bedroom door, always fully closed, sat slightly ajar now. She was sure she had shut it. She got up, closed it firmly, and crawled back under the blanket. Then, the lamp flickered once, twice. The air seemed to thicken again. A subtle pressure settled on her chest, not painful, but enough to make breathing feel manual, and for the first time, she noticed the shadows at the edges of the room, near the floor, near the ceiling places, where light should have reached darkness, lingered a little too long after the lamp stabilized. The shadows shifted, like something moving, slow and deliberate. Evelyn's hands trembled beneath the blanket. Her phone remained on the nightstand, screen dark, but somehow still watching her. She turned her face toward the wall, squeezing her eyes shut, pretending, hoping that whatever this was would go away if she stayed still. But deep down, she already knew this was just the beginning. The sound that shouldn't exist. The next night, Evelyn made a decision. She would not open the app again. In fact, she placed her phone face down across the room, far from the bed, as if distance could create safety. She double-checked the locks on her doors and windows, closed every curtain, pulled the bedroom door tight until it clicked shut. No more games. But fear has a way of finding cracks. At 2:37 a.m., she woke with a start. Her heart was already pounding, as though she had been running in her sleep. The room was still. Too still. Then she heard it. A sound. Not from outside. Not from the hallway. From her phone. A faint, mechanical clicking, like an old cassette player spinning. Slow, broken, her stomach twisted. She hadn't touched the app. The screen was still dark, but the sound continued, growing louder then. It changed from static clicks to something worse. A voice, soft, garbled, but unmistakable. It wasn't speaking in full sentences, more like fragments, glitches, words trapped between frequencies, but buried in the distortion. Her name surfaced again, Evelyn. The voice wasn't synthetic, not like a normal text-to-speech app. It sounded human, tired, close, breathing between syllables. Her throat tightened. Instinctively, she pulled the blanket over her head like a child hiding from monsters. But that didn't help, because the voice grew clearer, closer. "Evelyn, are you listening?" Her blood turned cold. A primal fear, ancient and irrational, surged through her. She threw the blanket aside and lunged for the phone. Screen still black, no incoming calls, no app running. The sound stopped the second she picked it up. Silence. She checked the settings. Bluetooth off. Wi-Fi off. Mobile data off. There was no reason for her phone to be playing anything, but something else caught her attention. The battery percentage. It had drained from 90% to 3%. In less than an hour. Impossible, hands shaking. She plugged the charger in and placed the phone back down, face up this time, afraid to turn her back to it. 4 minutes long. Crawling minutes, nothing happened. But just as she began to calm, a new notification appeared. Just one word, awake. No app name. No sender. Just that. Her skin prickled with terror. The notification faded before she could screenshot it, and for the first time since this began, she whispered to herself, voice dry and cracked, something is talking to me, and it didn't care about apps, or distance, or logic. It just wanted her attention, and it wasn't going to stop. The presence without a face. Evelyn didn't sleep for the rest of the night. By sunrise, her eyes burned, her hands trembled, and her thoughts looped in anxious circles. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe the phone was hacked. Maybe. But deep down, she knew better. Technology had rules. Glitches had patterns. This felt personal. By mid-morning, she put the phone in a drawer, powered off. Battery pulled out of sight, out of mind. But fear doesn't live inside devices. It follows you. As she sat on the couch, sipping cold coffee, something in her peripheral vision shifted. She turned quickly. Nothing. The far corner of the living room seemed darker than usual, despite the daylight pouring through the window. Her stomach knotted. Later that afternoon, while folding laundry in her bedroom, she dropped a shirt, bent down to pick it up, and froze mid. On the underside of her nightstand, etched faintly into the wood, a word. Her name. Evelyn scratched in shallow, erratic lines, as if done hastily, as if whoever or whatever had written it didn't want to get caught. Her chest tightened. She hadn't touched that surface, ever. Her breaths became shallow, quick, and then another shift. The bedroom air shifted, temperature dropped fast, like stepping into a basement. A pressure built behind her ears, like going underwater. Then, the unmistakable sensation. She was being watched. Her skin crawled. That electric pulse of primal awareness. Eyes on her, staring slowly, unwillingly. She turned toward the closet. The door sat slightly open, just enough to reveal darkness inside. Not the normal kind. Not the soft gray blur of unlit space, but a blackness that seemed thicker, heavier. Wrong. Her throat tightened. Forcing shaky steps, she crossed the room and slammed the closet door shut, twisting the handle until it clicked. Her heart pounded in her chest like it was trying to escape. She backed away, eyes locked on the door, until she was sitting on the edge of her bed. Moments passed, calm returned, but only on the surface, because when she glanced at her phone, despite it being powered off and battery removed, sat on her dresser, screen faintly lit, white dot, pulsing dot, breathing dot, the message, in pale gray text across the top, "You're not alone." Her scream died in her throat. She couldn't run, she couldn't breathe, and for the first time, Evelyn truly understood. Isolation didn't mean safety. It meant no one would hear her when she finally started screaming. The unspoken warning the next 24 hours became a blur of avoidance. Evelyn left the apartment, wandering aimlessly through crowded streets, coffee shops, even a public library, anywhere with people, with light, with noise. But distraction wasn't enough. The feeling followed her. Every reflective surface, shop windows, bus stop glass panels, seemed to bend light wrong, as though her own reflection moved half a second slower than her body. On the subway, she caught a glimpse of her phone screen lighting up inside her purse. Even powered off, even with the battery removed, the white dot pulsed behind the black screen like a heartbeat. Always watching. By the time she returned home that night, exhaustion dragged at her bones. She dropped her keys on the counter, left the lights on in every room, and collapsed on the couch. Too tired to cry, but sleep wouldn't come. At 3:11 a.m., her living room lamp flickered, then dimmed, then stabilized. That's when she noticed objects were not where she left them. The throw pillow on the floor instead of the sofa, the TV, remote lying perfectly perpendicular to the coffee table's edge. She never put it there. Her coat, previously on the wall hook, now draped over the armchair. Deliberate, calculated. A cold sweat broke across her back. The changes weren't random anymore. A pattern. A message. She grabbed a notebook and began jotting down every object moved, every anomaly. Pillow, floor, remote, right edge, coat, chair. She stared at the list. Something clicked inside her mind when she read the first letter of each displaced item vertically down the page. It spelled PRC. What did that mean? She flipped to the next page, listing more movements from earlier. Mirror, tilted, rug, folded, lamp, flickered again. First letters, MRL. Her heart sank. No coincidence. It was communicating. Not with words, not with speech, but with her environment. Her phone buzzed, suddenly vibrating with impossible force from inside. The bedroom drawer. The battery was still out. Impossible. With trembling hands, she opened the drawer. The screen was on. A single new message. No number. No contact name. Just 3 words. Keep watching patterns. Her blood ran cold. The room's air thickened again, heavy as wet cement. And at that moment, every light in her apartment dimmed to half power, holding steady like a long, controlled exhale, like something waiting for her next move. A presence, patient, watching, communicating, and most terrifying of all, it wasn't finished, not even close. The moment of truth. Evelyn stood in the middle of her living room, heart pounding, palms sweating, staring at the glowing screen in her hand. Keep watching patterns. The message pulsed once, then vanished. For a full minute, she didn't move. Her logical mind screamed to live, run out of the apartment, go to a hotel, call someone, anyone, but something deeper, darker, kept her frozen. This was no longer about escape. It was about understanding. Something wanted her attention, and it was teaching her to observe. Her eyes scanned the room again, hyper-aware now of every angle, every corner, every shift in light. On the coffee table, 3 coasters, 2 stacked, 1 flipped upside down. In the hallway, her umbrella propped sideways against the wall, pointing toward the bedroom. Near the kitchen, a single cabinet door ajar, just wide enough to notice. She grabbed her notebook again. Coasters, umbrella, cabinet. C-U-C. No clear meaning, yet the air felt charged, like static building before a lightning strike. Then, the living room clock stopped. Exactly 3:33 a.m. The second hand froze, silence, and then without warning, sharp, metallic clang echoed from the bedroom, like something heavy falling. She bolted upright. Every instinct screamed at her to stay where she was. But curiosity, that terrible, inevitable thing, pulled her forward. Step by slow step, she walked down the hallway. Each footfall seemed to take minutes. As she reached the bedroom door, she paused. The air beyond felt wrong, thicker, as though the room itself resisted being entered. With trembling fingers, she pushed the door open. At first glance, everything seemed untouched. Then she saw it. Her bedroom chair, the one by the window, overturned, and next to it, on the floor, her phone charger cable, tied into a perfect noose. Her breath caught in her throat. That wasn't random. That was a message, a warning. Her legs weakened, and she sank to the floor, pressing her back against the wall. This thing, whatever it was, wanted her to see, to notice, to understand. Fear clawed at her chest, but alongside it, a new feeling emerged. Defiance, if it wanted her attention. It had it. Evelyn picked up her phone, now cold as ice, and opened the app. For the first time since this began, the screen showed something new. A waveform display, and a single line of text below it. Record your voice. Her hands shook, but she hit the record button anyway. In a trembling voice, she spoke into the phone. "What are you?" The waveform froze. A pause, then playback started. But the reply was not her voice. It was something layered, distorted, and in the middle of the static, 2 words emerged. "Keep listening." The inevitability of darkness. Evelyn didn't sleep. Not that night. Not the next. Days blurred. Each time she spoke into the app, the answers became more deliberate. Sometimes it replied instantly. Other times, it waited, as if thinking. And the responses grew darker. One night, after whispering, "Why me?" into the mic, the playback came back layered with voices. Dozens, all answering in unison. "You were the first to listen." Her hands trembled. Her stomach churned. But she couldn't stop. The app now opened by itself. Even after she deleted it, even after she factory reset the phone, it always came back at exactly 3:33 a.m. The waveform appeared, waiting for her voice. The noises inside the apartment escalated. Objects no longer just shifted, they crashed. Her bathroom mirror cracked, straight down the center while she stood brushing her teeth. Lights flickered uncontrollably. The ceiling fan spun even when the power was off. And then, the dream started. Every time she dozed off even for minutes, she saw the same image. A dark room, door ajar, something standing just beyond her line of sight, always watching, never stepping forward. But each night, it moved closer, half a step, then another. Soon, she could almost make out its shape, a tall, slender silhouette, shifting like smoke trapped in human form. Evelyn avoided mirrors now, avoided silence. She played music constantly, trying to drown out the low-frequency hum that buzzed just under the threshold of hearing. But nothing worked, because the sound wasn't external. It was inside her head now, vibrating behind her ears, making her teeth ache, making her vision blur. One night, during a storm, the apartment lost power completely. Total blackout. And in that darkness, something touched her shoulder, cold, lingering, real. She spun around, flashlight shaking in her hands. But the room was empty. Or at least, looked empty. The air pressed down on her chest, like invisible hands. Then her phone lit up again. Battery at 0%. Somehow glowing. New message. "You invited me in." Her throat closed. Memories flooded back. The night she downloaded the app, she had given microphone access, camera access, location access. She had clicked accept without hesitation, an invitation. Not just digital, but something more, something ancient, Evelyn realized. This wasn't a haunting. It was an infestation. And now, it was inside her walls, her devices, her space, her mind. There was no going back, no uninstalled, no escape. Only one direction left, deeper, the fear that stays days past, or maybe it was weeks. Time had lost all meaning. Evelyn's eyes became sunken, her skin pale, voice hoarse from unanswered screams, whispered into empty rooms. The apartment itself changed. Walls cracked without reason. Doors opened and closed by themselves. Even when locked, her reflection no longer matched her movements. Sometimes, it smiled back when she wasn't. Neighbors stopped knocking, even when she screamed loud enough to rattle the hallway. She tried sleeping at her sister's place, tried checking into a motel across town, but every time she closed her eyes, the same dream, the same room, the same door, the same silhouette, now almost fully visible. It stood at the edge of her consciousness, waiting, and the voice, God. The voice. It wasn't coming from the app anymore. It whispered directly in her ear at nightsoft.com, authoritative. Let me show you more. Her phone's screen no longer showed apps, only that waveform, constantly recording, even when she wasn't. speaking, even when she wasn't holding the phone. One night, she picked up the device and hurled it across the room with every ounce of strength she had. The screen cracked on impact. For a second, there was silence. Then, from the shattered phone speaker, the voice returned, "Breaking me won't stop this." That was when she truly broke. The realization, final, undeniable. This wasn't a technology glitch. It wasn't sleep deprivation. It wasn't hallucination. It was her new reality, a permanent presence, a sentient thing, always watching, always listening, and most terrifying of all, it now knew her name. That night, she sat alone on the floor, back against the wall, staring at the corner of the room where the shadows twisted just a little too much, and when her phone lit up one last time, displaying the words, "We're inside now." She didn't scream. She didn't run. She just watched frozen, because she knew. The real fear doesn't end with the story. It stays. It lingers. Long after the lights go out. Long after the phone goes dark. It waits for you. Could you sleep after hearing this? What do you think really happened to Evelyn? Let me know your theory in the comments. And if you dare, click and watch another story before going to bed.